Very, very good morning to all of you, my friends. Welcome back. I'm sorry that I couldn't take the last session on activity-based costing. So it will be rescheduled soon. So don't worry, guys. And I'll be covering some advanced practical questions also of activity-based costing. So we'll update you. It will be updated over the portal that when I'm going to take that activity-based costing. So now, Vaishali Panchal, Tejaswani Marwa, very good morning, my dear. So now let's start with this new chapter, cost sheet. I hope you guys were able to solve the questions on activity-based costing. Good morning, Pranav. Good morning, Sarvesh. एडमिन सर आपका ये जो जूम का चैट है वो इनेबल कर देंगे एडमिन सर आर यू देयर
Sir, already done.
Okay, fine, sir. So let's start with this new chapter, cost sheet. Now, from examination point of view, this chapter is not so important, but yes, sometimes examiner do ask questions on cost sheet. It's one of the most easiest chapter of the syllabus. And it's like if the question comes in exams, it's like we can say it's a bonus marks for us. So 2 sessions are allocated for cost sheet. So I'll be covering all the concepts. Plus I'll be discussing few practical questions from the study material. And I'll be giving you additional questions also. So we'll be solving some additional questions also. So let's start with cost sheet. Now, what is cost sheet? Cost sheet is a statement. What is cost sheet? Cost sheet is a statement wherein we systematically record. Cost sheet is a statement wherein we systematically record all the expenditures or costs that will be incurred in relation to manufacture of a product. What is cost sheet? Cost sheet is a statement wherein we systematically record all the cost. Cost sheet is a statement wherein we systematically record all the cost that will be incurred in relation to manufacture of a product. So in Hindi, we can say cost sheet क्या है? एक स्टेटमेंट है जिसमें हम लोग जो भी कॉस्ट इनकर होने वाला है एक पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट को मैन्युफैक्चर करने के लिए उसको हम सिस्टमैटिकली रिकॉर्ड करते हैं. Now, when talking about the cost, of a product, cost can be classified in 2 parts. That is direct cost and indirect cost. When talking about the cost of a product, the cost can be classified in 2 parts, that is direct cost and indirect cost. Can anyone tell me what is direct cost and indirect cost? Waiting for your answers, guys. Good morning, Bhumika. Good morning, Nitin. Good morning, Sai Kiran. Good morning, Neeru. Can anyone help me out with that? What is the difference between direct cost and indirect cost? Very good, Vedai. Very good, Nitish. Pranav. Riddhi, the cost which is variable with the production quantity is a variable cost, not the direct cost. So as I got answers from many of the students. Okay, so Tejaswini, Ritika, Gupta, Sanya. Very good, everyone. Direct costs are incurred direct to the business. For example, freight, wages. Very good. So now let's start with direct cost and indirect cost. The cost that is directly attributable in manufacture of a product is direct cost. What is direct cost? The cost that is directly attributable in relation to manufacture. So the cost that is directly attributable in relation to manufacture of a product is direct cost. When talking about indirect cost, this cost play a supporting role in manufacturing a product. So the cost that is directly attributable in manufacturing a product is direct cost. And when talking about indirect cost, this cost play a supporting role in manufacturing a product. Now, when talking about what all includes direct cost and what all includes indirect cost, direct cost can be direct material, direct labor, and direct expenses. When talking about indirect cost also, indirect material, indirect labor, and indirect So for the students who have joined bit late, we have started with cost sheet. Cost sheet is a statement wherein we systematically record all the expenditure in relation to manufacture of a product. When talking about the cost, what all we record when talking of we record the cost. When talking about cost can be classified in two parts, that is direct cost and indirect cost. Direct cost, the cost that is directly attributable in manufacturing a product is direct cost. When talking about indirect cost, this cost play a supporting role in manufacturing a product. Both direct and indirect costs can include direct material, labor, and expenses. Now the question is, what is the difference between direct and indirect material, direct and indirect labor, and direct and indirect expenses? Let me discuss these terms with the help of few examples. So let's say I'm the manufacturer of, let's say, shirts. I'm the manufacturer of shirts. Now my shirt is made up of what? Fabric, buttons, and thread. These are the three major raw material in manufacturing a shirt. That is fabric, thread, and button. So herein, for final output, my shirt, my direct material will be what? Fabric, button, and thread. Now let's say these shirts are stitched on machines. And for the smooth functioning of machine, I use lubricating oil, grease, or we can say other consumables. Now these lubricating oil, grease and other consumables are nowhere present in my final product. But yes, to manufacture a shirt, I need lubricating oil, grease on my machines so that the machine can function effectively or smoothly. So this lubricating oil, grease, or we can say other consumables are what? My indirect material. Another example, let's say I'm the manufacturer of cakes. I have a big chain all over Maharashtra. Now, to manufacture cake, what I need? Let's say milk, whipped cream, egg, and let's say flour. So these are the four major ingredients in manufacturing a cake. So all these are what? My direct material. Now, to maintain hygiene standards, my chef is using chef cap, apron, and gloves. Now, this apron, gloves, chef cap, are they anywhere present in the final product? No, they are not the ingredients in the final product. But yes, to maintain the hygiene standard, I have to use all these items. So this is what my indirect material. So I hope that the difference is clear, that what is the difference between direct and indirect material. Good morning, Santosh. Now, when talking about the difference between direct and indirect labor, the difference between direct and indirect labor. As I said, I'm a manufacturer of shirts. Now I have appointed a team of 100 workers who are actually stitching the shirts. Let's say I've appointed 100 tailors who are actually stitching the shirts. These shirts are stitched manually. So I'm paying some wages to my tailors. So whatever the amount that are paid to my tailors is what my direct labor. But let's say to supervise the work done by them. To supervise the work done by the tailors, I have kept 10 supervisors so that they can work efficiently and smoothly. So these supervisors are nowhere directly involved in manufacturing a shirt, but yes, I have to pay them something so that they can supervise the work, that whether the work is done correctly or not. So amount paid to the supervisor is what? My indirect labor. So direct labor, the amount paid to the ultimate workforce, or we can say in this example, the tailors. And whatever the amount paid to supervisor for to supervise the work done by them, it is what my indirect labor. Let's say I have kept two housekeeping staff to maintain the cleanliness. Again, these housekeeping staff in the factory are nowhere directly involved in manufacturing a shirt. But yes, I have to pay them for the cleanliness. So amount paid to them is what? My indirect labor. Let's say I have kept a security guard outside the factory gate. Again, the security guard is nowhere directly involved in manufacturing a shirt. But yes, I have to pay him to maintain the security. I mean to manage the security of the premise. So amount paid to the security guard is what? My indirect labor. Now, when talking about the difference between direct and indirect expenses are very limited. The question will give you some or other sort of hints, but let me discuss few examples of direct expenses. It can be power, coal, and fuel. Fees for technical services. Or if we are taking any sort of know-how, then the fees paid for know-how. Apart from this, if we have purchased any dies or molds, then we have to amortize it over the period of use. So all these are the examples of direct expenses. Now, when talking about indirect expenses, all those expenses which are not covered in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be covered under indirect expenses. It's a never-ending list of indirect expenses. It can be rent, it can be depreciation, it can be electricity, it can be audit fees, it can be postage and telegram, it can be depreciation on delivery vehicles, it can be anything. So whatever the expenses that are not covered in these 5 points will be covered under indirect expenses. So I hope this part is clear to all. That is, what is the difference between direct and indirect expenses. If you guys have any doubts or queries, first of all, you guys can please post. Waiting for your queries, guys. Sanya, the consumable oils are what? My indirect material. See, at the end of the day, all will form part of either factory, office, or administration overhead. But anyways, we are using some sort of material. See, oil is what? A material. When talking about rent, it's an expense. Rent cannot be material, cannot be labor. It is expense. So oil is some kind of material, so we call it as indirect material. Pallavija, we cannot say that they are not identifiable. They are also easily identifiable. Anyone having any doubts? Now, when talking about these indirect costs, when talking about this indirect cost, we call them as overheads. So in short, what are overheads? The indirect costs are overheads. So what are overheads? The indirect costs are we call as overheads. So when talking about these indirect costs, we call them as overheads. Now these overheads, that is these indirect material, indirect labor, indirect expenses are further incurred at 3 stages. This indirect material, indirect labor, and indirect expenses are further incurred at 3 stages. That is at factory, office and administration, and selling and distribution. So in short, indirect material can be at factory also, indirect material can be at office and administration also, and indirect material can be at selling and distribution also. Same goes with labor and indirect expenses. So these overheads are incurred at 3 stages, that is factory, office and administration, and selling and distribution. Now let me write few examples for your reference. Let's say we can say if the repairs and maintenance are given, it goes in factory. Depreciation on plant and machinery, it will go in factory. We can say depreciation on factory building. Supervisor salary. Another example can be indirect wages. If it is given straight away, it will go in factory, etc. When talking about office and administration, very easy, it can be audit fees, it can be salary to manager, it can be other salaries if it is given only salaries, it can be rent of office, depreciation on office equipment, etc. Further, when talking about selling and distribution, it can be advertisement, free samples, it can be salesman salary, it can be depreciation on delivery vehicles, etc. So these are the few examples for better understanding. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your query. Further, I request you guys to copy this explanation. Always remember what you will write, you will remember. Instead of taking the screenshots or anything, see, you can take screenshots of few solutions, But yes, when talking about the concepts, I suggest you guys to write, because once you will write, you will remember it forever. So that's what it is. So giving you 3 to 4 minutes time to write the explanation. And in the meanwhile, if you guys have any doubts or queries, you guys can please post. Nayan Patil, as I've already mentioned, that I'll be keeping a session on activity-based costing, some advanced problem. Don't worry. You guys will be updated soon. Ritika Gupta, this part I'll be discussing separately in this class only. Don't worry, Ritika. Virendra Sharma, again, this part I'll note down. I'll be discussing this part separately. Don't worry. Sai Kiran, this part also I'll be discussing it separately while I'll be discussing cost sheet. Anyone else with any doubts? So Sai Kiran, Virendra Sharma, and Ritik, I'll be addressing your query. Don't worry. Further, one of the students posted a feedback that, sir, please upload the solutions of material costing practical questions. So don't worry, I'll be uploading it soon. So again, for the students who have joined bit late, there are a few students who have joined bit late. So let's refresh what we have discussed till now. We have started with cost sheet. It's nothing but a statement wherein we systematically record all the cost that will be incurred in relation to manufacture of a product. When talking about cost, it can be classified in two parts, that is direct and indirect cost. What is direct cost? The cost that is directly attributable in relation to manufacture of a product. When talking about indirect cost, the cost that plays a supporting role in manufacturing a product. Both direct and indirect can be material, labor, and expenses. So now let's start with the statement of cost. So let's start with this cost sheet. So the first thing what we will write in cost sheet is opening stock of raw material. Opening stock of raw material. In this, we will add whatever the raw material that is purchased. So purchase of raw material. And in this, we will subtract closing stock of raw material. So opening stock of raw material, add purchase of raw material and subtracting closing stock of raw material, we will get raw material So the first thing what you have to write in cost sheet is what? Opening stock, add purchase less closing stock of raw material, we will get raw material consumed. Let's say no information is given in the question as regards opening stock, purchase, closing stock of raw material. And let's say in question directly it is given direct material. So you can simply write direct material. So if direct material is given straight away, write direct material. If you guys have information in the question as regards opening and closing stock of raw material, then you have to calculate raw material consumed. Now, very important part is this purchase of raw material. When talking about this purchase of raw material, not only the purchase price of raw material, but the cost incurred till the factory gate will be included in the purchase cost of raw material. I repeat again, not only the price paid to the supplier, but the expenses that are incurred till the factory gate will be included in the purchase price of raw material. So let's say the purchase price paid to the supplier in this, we will add the costs that are incurred till the factory gate. Let's say I'm importing my raw material. I'm a manufacturer of wooden furniture. I'm the manufacturer of wooden furniture and I import teak wood from Indonesia. Now, apart from the price paid to the supplier, the import duty, the carriage inward, the freight inward, the transit insurance, plus any other duties or taxes, whatever by whatever name called, paid to the outside parties will be included in this purchase price. So in short, whatever the cost from Indonesia till the factory gate will be included in my purchase price of raw material. So we can say if we are paying any sort of import duty, it will be added. Very important point. If we are paying carriage inward or freight inward, it will be added. So carriage inward, freight inward will be added in the purchase price of raw material, and carriage outward. See, the carriage paid for outward means once the final products goes out of the factory, we do pay carriage outward. It will go in selling and distribution cost. So carriage inward or freight inward will be included in the purchase price. Carriage or freight inward. Let's say transit insurance we are paying for raw material. Generally in case of import, if we are paying the transit insurance on raw material, then we will add it to the cost of raw material. So if all these expenses will be included only if it is paid by us, very important. If it is paid by our company only, then it will be included. If it is paid by the supplier, we have nothing to do with this part. So if it is paid by us, then it will be included in this part. So we can say transit insurance. Further, octroi, if any, paid. Let's say we are paying GST. In case of domestic purchase, we have to pay GST also. So GST if paid, again it will be added. Any sort of commission or brokerage paid on purchases, it will be added. Commission or brokerage on purchase, it will be added. Now, certain items will be deducted. Now, see, if we are paying GST, we will add. But let's say I'm a registered dealer and I'm getting the credit back of the GST. So if I'm getting the GST credit back, it will be deducted. So very important thing, if in question GST is given and it's written that GST credit is available, no need to add and subtract. Better ignore GST. I'm writing it for your reference still. So if we are getting the GST credit back, it will be deducted. Further, generally government gives duty drawback also on import duty. So if we are getting any sort of export entitlement or duty drawback on purchases, then again it will be deducted. Further, if we are getting any sort of trade discount, it will be deducted. Further, let's say the purchase price for a piece of teak wood is, let's say, 1,000, and government is giving a subsidy of rupees 100 on purchase of every teak wood. Government is encouraging import of teak wood and they are giving us a subsidy of rupees 100 on purchase of teak wood. So very important, the subsidy, the amount that is borne by the government will be deducted. Subsidy on purchase of raw material. In short, we are purchasing the raw material at a discounted price. So subsidy, if any paid on purchase of raw material, it will be deducted. Now, very important point. Let's say during transit from Indonesia to India, certain percentage of teak wood were damaged, either because of moisture or something. And these teak woods are sold in the market at a very nominal price. So very important. So whatever the amount realized on sale of scrap of raw material will be deducted from the purchase price only. So very important. The scrap value realized on sale of raw material. So अगर कुछ भी raw material खराब होता है and we are selling that damaged raw material or spoiled raw material in the market, the amount realized on sale of such raw material will be deducted from the purchase price itself. So this net amount will be what? My purchase of raw material. Very important, guys. You have to show all these in the cost sheet itself. Alternatively, if you want, you can show it as a part of working note. But yes, it is advisable to show all this calculation in the cost sheet itself. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your queries. Octroi. See, octroi these days is being removed after the introduction of GST, but sometimes क्या होता है कि कई बार एग्जामिनर गलती से octroi दे देता है question. In fact, you will find few practical question in which octroi is mentioned. So octroi is a type of tax levied by the state government. So right now it is abolished after the introduction of GST, but still there are few questions in which octroi is given. So octroi need to be added in the purchase price of the raw material. Now, duty drawback, generally, if we pay import duty, we get the credit of the import duty paid. We call it as duty credit. DEPB, duty entitlement passbook or duty drawback, whatever it is. This is transit insurance. Anyone else having any doubts or queries in this part? So these items you have to show in cost sheet only. Alternatively, you can show it as a part of working note, but why to give any opportunity to the examiner to deduct marks? So better no need to do any extra stunts. Better just keep it as a part of cost sheet only. Anyone else having any doubts, guys? This is octroi, as I have mentioned, Sai Kiran Kumar. Okay. So this is all what about purchase of raw material. Now, so once the raw material consumed is calculated, or we can say direct material we have, we'll write thereafter direct wages and all the direct expense. So direct material, direct wages and direct expenses we will write first in cost sheet, and the total what we will be getting is what? My prime cost. Now, when talking about the direct wages also, I'm writing it here because space is the constraint. When talking about direct wages also, it includes direct wages. Apart from direct wages, if any bonus is paid to the employees, if any commission is paid to the employees, if any allowances by whatever name called paid to the employees, or we can say any sort of employer contribution to Provident Fund or ESI, it will be added. Further, any sort of benefits, either medical benefits or traveling benefits or education benefit, if it is provided to the workers, will also form part of direct wages. So we can say we'll write perquisites. So all these items will also form part of this item direct wages. So it's not only the amount that is paid to the workers, but it also includes the overtime amount, or we can say any sort of allowance, commission, bonus, facilities, employer's contribution to the provident fund, all will form part of direct wages. So these two terms, that is purchase of raw material and wages, I hope this part is clear to all. I request you guys to copy this part and this part because I'll be erasing this part. So just giving you 2 to 3 minutes time to copy these two parts. Again, I request you guys that whatever the concepts I'm explaining, do write it in your notebook rather than taking screenshots. It's Provident Fund. ESI is Employee State Insurance. I request you guys to please copy these two parts. Aisha, can you be please more? I mean, I'm not getting what you are saying. This is not transmission insurance. This is transit insurance. This is octroi. This is GST. This is commission or brokerage paid on purchases. PF is Provident Fund. Mr. Balachandran, it is the payment which they are not supposed to, but it's, we can say it's a voluntary payment. ESI, Manvi. Aisha, can you please repost your query? Yes, direct labor or wages, my dear. The labor or wages are used as interchangeably, the direct labor or wages. You can write it, it's advisable to write it in the format of cost sheet only, my dear. Now we are done with the calculation of prime cost, that is direct material, direct labor, and direct expenses. The total will be what? My prime cost. Now, once the prime cost is calculated, we will add all the factory overhead. Once the prime cost is calculated, we will add all the factory overhead. In this prime cost, we will add all the factory overhead. The final amount what we will be getting is the gross factory oblique work cost. So in prime cost, we will add all the factory overheads. So after adding the factory overheads, we will get the gross factory cost or work cost. Now, in this, we will make adjustments of opening and closing work in progress. We'll add and we will subtract opening work in progress and we will subtract closing work in progress. The final figures what we'll be getting is the factory cost or work cost. So first thing, direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, the total what we'll be getting is prime cost. In prime cost, we will add all the factory overheads. We will get the gross factory cost or work cost. In gross work cost or factory cost, we will make adjustments of opening and closing work in progress. We'll get the final factory cost or work cost. Now, after this very important points, few points need to be added. The first one is quality control cost. The second one is research and development cost. The third one is administration overheads. Very important, related to production. Quality control cost, research and development cost, administration overhead related to production, and we will subtract scrap value realized. And we will add again the primary packing cost. This is how we will get the cost of production. I'll be explaining these points one by one, so don't worry, guys. So after calculating the factory cost or work cost, we will add few items. After calculating the factory cost or work cost, we will add a few items. The first one is quality control cost. The second one is research and development cost. The third one is administration overhead related to production. Further, we will subtract the scrap value realized on sale of waste. And the last point is primary packing cost. Now, what are these terms? So let's discuss one by one. When talking about the quality control cost, let's say I'll give you a few examples. Let's say the salaries paid to quality control staff. Further, to check or test the quality of the product, let's say if we are using some kind of materials or chemicals, then the cost of that material or chemical to test the quality of the product, again, it will form part of quality control cost. Now, when talking about the next point, that is research and development cost, say whatever the research and development cost we are incurring or we are spending for improvement or betterment of product or production process will only form part of research and development cost. So research and development for what? First, for improvisation of product, plus for improvisation of production process. Now, in research and development cost, it can be we are using some material also, we are paying something to the workforce also, and plus we can incur some additional expenses also. So it can be material also, labor also, expenses also. Anything can be incurred in research and development cost. But the major motto of research and development should be what? Very important. Either the research and development is conducted for the improvement of product or a betterment of the product. And second thing, for betterment of production process or improvement of production process. Now, when talking about the administration overhead related to the production, we can say the salaries paid to the production control manager. So some hints will be given in the question that these are the administration overhead related to the production. So the question will give you few hints that these are the administration overhead related to the production. Let's say salaries paid to the production control manager. Administration overhead related to production will be straight away given in the question. So quality control cost, research and development cost, administration overhead related to the production is done. Now the next point is scrap value realized. Just give me a water break. Just 1 minute, guys. Now, when talking about scrap value realized, very important, guys. I'm talking about the scrap value on sale of waste that is generated from a production process. I'm not talking about the scrap value realized on sale of raw material. I'm talking about the scrap value of the waste that is generated from a production process. So, realized on sale of waste, or we can say the better word is byproduct generated from manufacturing process. So scrap value realized on sale of raw material, it will be subtracted from the purchase cost. But if any scrap value realized on sale of waste that is generated from a production process or generated while manufacturing a product. So let's say, let me discuss this with the help of an example. We call this waste as a byproduct. Let's say I'm the manufacturer of sugar. I'm the manufacturer of sugar from sugarcane. Now, let's say if during transit some sugar canes were damaged and we sold in the market. So amount realized on sale of sugarcane will be deducted from the purchase price. क्योंकि हमारा raw material खराब हो गया था और हमने raw material as it is market में sell कर दिया, so it will be deducted from the cost of raw material. Now let's take one more scenario. While manufacturing sugar from sugarcane, a byproduct is generated. We call it as molasses, and that molasses is marketable product and can be sold in the market. So amount realized on sale of molasses will be deducted here. So molasses is what? A byproduct or a waste generated while manufacturing sugar. So in short, अगर कोई manufacturing process से waste generate होता है और उसे हम market में sell करते हैं, तो वो जो भी sale value realize होता है, it will be deducted while calculating the cost of production. If you guys have any points, any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your queries, specifically this point. Now the next point is primary packing cost. I think one of the student mentioned that what about the packing cost? When talking about the primary packing cost, it will form part of cost of production. That is, here it will be added. And when talking about the packing for redistribution, it will go to selling and distribution cost. Let me discuss this with the help of an example. See, Hardik, this part will be covered in joint and byproduct. But as of now, for your reference, I'm telling you that the whatever the amount that is realized on sale of byproduct will be straight away given in the question. I repeat again, whatever the amount realized on sale of byproduct will be straight away given in the question. No need to calculate the value or whatever it is. Just this amount will be straight away given in the question, that this much amount is realized on sale of byproduct. Now, when talking about the primary packing cost, it will form part of cost of production. And when talking about packing for redistribution, it will go to selling and distribution cost. Let me discuss this part with the help of an example. Let's say you guys know that, there is a renowned brand Fruity. Now, these Fruities come in Tetra Pak. Without this Tetra Pak, the product is not marketable. हम लोग Fruity consume ही नहीं कर सकते if it is not packed in Tetra Pak or a bottle. So this Tetra Pak or a plastic bottle is necessary to make the product marketable. So this cost of Tetra Pak or that cost of plastic bottle is what? My primary packing cost. Now let's say these 50 bottles are packed in a container and they are transported to some other location. So the packing cost of that container is what we call as the packing for redistribution. So very important, if the cost of Tetra Pak is there or if the cost of plastic bottle is there, we call it as primary packing cost. And let's say the 50 bottles are packed in a container, right, to transport it to some other location. So the cost of that container will go to selling and distribution. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post further. I request you guys to please copy these 2 points. It's an abnormal loss, Ritika. It will form part of abnormal loss. I'll be discussing this part also. Don't worry. This cost sheet is what we are talking about, the estimated data. ये actual data नहीं है. This is what we are estimating. Nothing. It has nothing to do with the actual results. Actual results हम लोग financial statements में provide करते हैं. That is trading P&L. But when talking about costing, costing is all what about estimated data. So all this material, labor, overheads, quality control costs, research and development costs, all these are the estimated figure. So actually क्या होता है? It has nothing to do with cost sheet. मिस्टर नीतीश, आप फ्रूटी किस में कंज्यूम करते हैं? टेट्रा पैक में. दैट वी कैन से दैट इज मेड अप ऑफ पेपर. So that tetra pack, the cost of that paper in which that fruity, or we can say the cost of that box in which we consume fruity, is what we call as the part of, the primary packing cost. और let's say fruity जो है प्लास्टिक की बॉटल में आता है, तो वो जो बॉटल का कॉस्ट है वो प्राइमरी पैकिंग कॉस्ट है. वो जो बॉक्स का कॉस्ट है जिसमें फ्रूटी आता है और आप कंज्यूम करते हैं, वो हमारा प्राइमरी पैकिंग कॉस्ट है. Nitish, this part I'll be discussing that how to calculate the value of work in progress. I'll be discussing this part in detail in process costing. But from this cost sheet point of view, the value of opening and work in progress will always be given in the question. Sai Kiran Kumar, please elaborate what you are saying. In short, my point is very clear that whatever the amount realized on sale of byproduct, it will be deducted from the while calculating the cost of production. I repeat again, whatever the value realized on sale of byproduct, it will be deducted while calculating cost of production. That's it. I request you guys to please copy this explanation. In case of joint product, we will be discussing in joint and byproduct. There is a separate chapter for the same. Anyone else having any doubts? So Sai Kiran Kumar, don't worry, have some patience. I'll be discussing this part. I think I'm not taking joint and byproduct this time. So my colleague faculty will be discussing joint and byproduct in detail. Don't worry. But as of now, from cost sheet point of view, the amount realized on sale of byproduct will be deducted while calculating cost of production. This is the thumb rule. Then that this much only you have to remember. So now, after calculating the cost of production, let's say we have calculated the cost of production. After calculating the cost of production, we will make adjustments of opening stock and closing stock of finished goods. So we will add and we will subtract this is how we will get the cost of goods sold. The units that are sold will get the cost for the same. Cost of So in cost of production, we will make adjustments of opening stock of finished goods and closing stock of finished goods. This is how we will get the value of the unit sold, that is the cost of goods sold. Now, very important, guys. In question, in 100% cases, the value of opening stock will always be given. But the point is, what will be the value of finished stock or closing stock? I repeat again, the value of opening stock will always be given in the question. But the point is, what about the value of closing stock? So always remember valuation of finished stock. Always remember that this finished goods will be valued at cost of production. These finished goods will be valued at, so closing stock of finished goods will be valued at cost of production. Closing stock of finished goods will be valued at cost of production. We are using the FIFO approach only. Let's say my cost of production is 4 lakh. My units manufactured are, let's say, 8,000. My cost of production is 4 lakh. My units manufactured are 8,000. Units sold are 6,000. Cost of production is 4 lakh. Units manufactured are 8,000 and units sold are 6,000. So therefore, closing stock will be how much? Out of 8,000 units manufactured, 6,000 units, assuming opening stock is not given. So out of 8,000 units manufactured, 6,000 units are sold. So it means 2,000 units are still in stock. Now, we will calculate the cost of production per unit. So this will be 4 lakh divided by 8,000. So this will be 50 per unit. So value of closing stock will be how much? Will be 2,000 units that are in stock into 50. So this will be 1 lakh. Further, when say the value of, or we can say the cost of goods sold will be how much? It will be the cost of production minus the value of finished goods. If you guys have any doubts in this calculation, you guys can please post your query. I think one of the students asked about the valuation of finished goods. So very important. The value of opening stock of finished goods is always given. This value is always given. But when talking about the value of closing stock of finished goods, sometimes the value is not given in the question. So it will be valued at cost of production. कुछ मत कीजिए, cost of production divided by units manufactured. We will get the cost per unit, and that cost per unit will be applied to the finished stock. Anyone having any doubts or queries in relation to this part, you guys can please post. Ritika Gupta, carriage inward, it will be added to the cost of purchase. Carriage outward, it will go to selling and distribution. Still, I'll write it for your reference. Don't worry. Give me some time. See, here it is written in cost of production, we have to add opening stock of finished goods. So let's say if opening stock of finished goods is given 2 lakh rupees. So my cost of production will be how much? 3 lakh plus 2 lakh, 5 lakh. So Mr. Hardik Marwa, sir, in openings, if opening stock is given in this example, then we have to subtract it in NSA. What is NSA first of all? Assuming opening stock is not given here. No opening stock. अगर ओपनिंग स्टॉक गिवन होता तो वो ऐड होता while calculating cost of goods sold. See, cost of production, add opening stock, less closing stock, we will get cost of goods sold. Yes, we have to adjust the units and the amount. Both the things, whether no, in general, no, this much things examiner will not ask. Yes, Hardik, I'm saying this only, that opening stock of finished goods will be added and closing stock of finished goods will be deducted. Nahin, Nitish, we have to always use FIFO method only. Don't try to complicate the things. Hardik, hopefully your query is resolved. Vedai, Hardik and Vedai, any doubts? Your query is resolved, Hardik. Okay. So I repeat again, guys. If opening stock is given in the question, we have to add the value of opening stock and the units also. So we are done with the cost of goods sold. In this, we will add the remaining items, that is administration overhead. We can say general. Administration overhead related to production are already covered here. So all the general administration overhead will come here. All the selling overheads, all the distribution overheads. So administration overhead, selling overheads, and distribution overhead all will come here. And this is how we will get the final cost, that is the cost of sales. This is the total cost of the units that we are selling. So this is all what about format of cost sheet. If you guys have any doubts, you guys can please. See, Kasak, very important. In cost of production, while calculating the cost of production, we have already made adjustments of opening and closing stock of raw material and opening and closing stock of work in progress. So this part is already considered while calculating the cost of production. See, I'm talking about the cost statement, not the profit statement. So the cost statement is over. If we want to estimate the, if we want to estimate the, we can say the total sales value in cost of sales, if we add profit, we will get the sales value. So Mr. Nitish, I repeat again, हम लोग cost sheet की बात कर रहे हैं, cost statement की. So the cost statement is over till cost of sales. If we want to calculate the estimate sales value in this cost of sales, if we add profit, we will get the estimate sale value. How to calculate administrative overheads? Administrative overheads will be given in the question straight away. Let's say rent, salaries, depreciation, postage and telegram, audit fees. So these will be given in the question. So we have to calculate the total and put up administration overhead. Bhavna, hopefully your query is resolved. Anyone else with any doubts? It will form part of distribution overhead. See, the secondary packing cost, as I said, it will form part of distribution overheads. It will form part of distribution overheads. So administration overheads general, the total in the outer column. Selling and distribution cost. Again, whatever it is, just take the total. Outer column. So in cost of goods sold, we will add all the administration overhead, selling and distribution overhead. The final figure, what we will be getting is my cost of sales. So herein, we can say carriage outward will also come. I'm writing few examples for your reference. I'll write down with black marker for better understanding. So carriage outward. Secondary packing cost. Etc. Advertisement, depreciation on delivery vehicles, anything can come in this part. Still anyone having any doubts in this part? Cost of goods sold is this much only. After calculating the cost of goods sold, we will make adjustments of administration overhead general. 1 second, guys. So administration overheads general, selling and distribution overhead, we will calculate the total, and this is how we will calculate cost of sales. Carriage outward will form part of selling and distribution overheads, my dear. Carriage inward added to the cost of purchase, and carriage outward, it will go in selling and distribution. Virendra Sharma, can you please elaborate what is your query? Ritika Gupta, as I said, the finished stock is valued at cost of production. Finished stock का valuation किस पे होगा? Cost of production. What will just check what is the cost of production per unit? Here in the cost of production is 4 lakh. Units manufactured are 8,000. It means what is the cost of production per unit? 50 rupees per unit. So if we multiply it by the units that are still in stock, we will get the value of the closing stock. So herein, the units manufactured are 8,000, units sold are 6,000. It means 2,000 units are still in stock, and they will be valued at what? Cost of production, that is rupees 50. I hope your query is resolved, Ritika. Virendra Sharma, hopefully your query is resolved. Any other doubt? Kasak, any doubt? Carriage outward will form part of selling and distribution cost. Yashashwini, any doubts? Bhavna Garg, any doubts? Whatever the administration overhead are, be it rent, be it depreciation, be it electricity, be it postage and telegram, be it director fees, director remuneration, salary to accountants, salary to managers, salary to independent director, or we can say depreciation on office equipment, whatever it is, it will go in administration overheads. So I request you guys now to copy this explanation. Again, I request you guys to copy this part. Everything is there in study material. But yes, as I said, what you will write, you will remember it. Every time you can't refer study material. Sometimes it gets boring or irritating also. So try to prepare your own notes while attending the lectures. It will help you while revising the exams that, okay, sir ne ye padhaya tha and I have understood this much and accordingly I'm writing it in my notebook. So try to prepare your own notes as far as the concepts is concerned. Very important, what you will write, you will remember it forever. So just giving you 3 to 4 minutes time to copy this explanation. Thank you so much, Nitish, for the compliment. Okay, so Yashashwini, very important, ex gratia is a voluntary payment. Let's say an employee is retiring and the company is giving a voluntary retirement scheme. So whatever the amount that is paid voluntarily is what we call as ex gratia. They are not bound to pay. They are just voluntarily paying anything. We call it as ex gratia payment. So Ritika, Rishi Pandey, Aisha, Balachandran, Tejaswini, Pallavi Jha, Sanya, Sahu S, Pranav, Sarvesh, Vishali Panchal. Anyone having any doubts, guys? Those who are posting the queries over portal, whatever the queries you have, you guys can please post. I request you guys to please copy this explanation. Yes, Hardik, it will be a part of labor cost because we are paying to the laborers, right? That's why. Apart from copying this part, do write your comments that what you have understood. See, let's say there are a few students who are finding difficulty that what is the difference between carriage inward, outward, what to do about the value of finished goods, what to do about primary packing cost and secondary packing cost. Just whatever you have understood, write it down because every time you will not remember that mujhe kya query, what queries I was facing and what sir actually told. So whatever you feel like, just write in your notebook, prepare, write your comments, write what you have understood apart from this explanation. Thank you so much, Santosh. Do prepare your notes, do write your explanation, do write your comments. So every time आपको कुछ भी doubt आएगा, at least you can refer your notebook. Thank you so much, Hardik. Miss Kasak, everything will be given straight away in the question. No need to do anything else. Labor cost, overheads cost, everything will be given straight away in the question. No need to do any calculation. Once I'll discuss practical question, you'll be able to understand. But yes, everything will be given straight away. Don't worry. So let's take a break of 15 minutes. I'll be back after 15 minutes with few more points, and then we'll discuss one or two practical questions. So let's take a break of 15 minutes. needed break. So let's take a quick review of what we have discussed till now. And then we will start with few new points relating to this chapter. So when talking about the cost statement or cost sheet, the first thing what we will write is direct material, direct labor, and direct expenses. So direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, what we will get? Prime cost. In prime cost, we will add all the factory overheads. We will get gross work cost or factory cost. After getting the gross factory cost or work cost, we will make adjustments of opening and closing work in progress. We will get the factory cost or work cost. In this, we will make adjustments of 5 items, that is quality control cost, research and development cost, quality control cost, research and development cost, administration overhead related to production, primary packing cost, and we will subtract the scrap value realized on sale of byproduct. So after making these adjustments, we will get the final figure, that is cost of production. In cost of production, we will make adjustments of opening and closing stock of finished goods. We will get the cost of goods sold. In cost of goods sold, very important guys, we will add few items, that is the remaining expenses, that is administration overhead, general, selling overheads, and distribution overhead. This is how we will get the cost of sales. Very important point, the cost of production, the closing stock of finished goods will be valued at cost of production. So this is all what about the format of cost sheet. Now, there are few items which are not to be considered while preparing cost sheet. कुछ कॉस्ट ऐसी होती है जो हम लोगों को कंसिडर ही नहीं करनी. There are certain items, even though given in the question, we have to ignore it. See, let's say to confuse you guys, many items will be given in the question that will not form part of cost sheet. So what all items are there that will not form part of cost sheet? So certain items not to be considered while preparing certain items not to be considered while preparing cost sheet. Can you help me out with those items? So I request you guys to please post what all items are to be ignored or not to be considered while preparing cost sheet. Let me check who all knows, because this cost sheet is, I think you guys have learned in graduation also. So, okay, so I have got the answer from Virendra Sharma. So quickly, guys, do post your answers. What all items we should not consider while preparing cost sheet? Okay, good. Shweta, very good. Akshara. Rest all waiting for your answers. Whatever that is running in your mind, just do post it. I'll tell you guys that it is right or wrong. Okay, very good, Shweta. Okay, Ritika Gupta, input tax credit. No. See, input tax credit, we can say yes somehow. Okay, good. Sanya, very good. Vishali Panchal, very good. So, transfer to reserve. Yes, Shweta, very good. Nitin Prajapati, very good. Rest all the other students, are you guys sleeping or what? Okay, so GST with input tax credit, we can say yes somehow. Very good, Nitin. Very good, Ritika. Very good, Nitin again. Very good, Vedai. Very good, Virendra Sharma. So Anjali Kashyap, Apurva, Arshdeep Kaur, Asha, Aisha, Sai Kiran Kumar, Kasak, Jay Lakshmi, Hardik Marwa, Pranav, Pooja, Niveta, Nitish, Santosh, Sheikh, Vinuta, Vidya. Waiting for your answers, guys. Whatever that is coming in your mind, do post it. I request you guys to actively participate in the session. I mean, the more you will participate, I mean, the better you will understand. Keep yourself engaged. You're not sitting in a physical class. You're sitting in an online class. So to understand the things in a better way, try to participate in the session. Very good, Vedai, Apurva. No, Bhuvneshwari, your answer is incorrect. Non-cash expenses do come in cost sheet. We have to consider the non-cash expense. So this is incorrect. Very good, Hardik. So now let's write few items. Bad debts. Bad debts has nothing to do with cost calculation. It will never form part of cost sheet. Bad debts or provision for bad debts. Any sort of interest expenses or interest income. Very good, Sai Kiran. Very good, Gurminder Kaur. Rinku Chaudhary. Very good. Yes, Shweta. Very good. So, any sort of interest received or paid will never form part of cost sheet. Any sort of dividend received or paid will never form part of cost sheet. Any sort of abnormal loss or abnormal gain will never form part of cost sheet. So I think there was one of the student who mentioned that what about the abnormal loss? So abnormal loss by whatever name called, whether while purchasing the raw material or any sort of abnormal loss in the factory, it will never form part of cost sheet. So abnormal loss, so we can say penalty is a type of abnormal loss, penalty or fines or demurrage. It will never form part of cost sheet. Yes, good Rinku. Bhumika, yes. So loss from fire, Bhumika, is an abnormal loss, my dear. Sanya, marketing and okay, so Deepak BS. Deepak BS, marketing and advertisement expenses, it will always form part of cost sheet. It will form part of selling and distribution cost, advertisement expenses, free samples. We can say if we are spending anything on TV ads, or let's say we are arranging any sort of prizes for the customers. Let's say first prize bike is there, second prize bicycle is there. All will form part of advertisement and marketing cost. So it will form part of selling and distribution cost. So Deepak, your answer is incorrect. Someone said goodwill written off. So writing it for your reference, goodwill written off. Further, if let's say land and building is given, or plant and machinery is given, or let's say debtors are given, creditors are given, it will never form part of cost sheet. But yes, depreciation on land, depreciation on building is given, it will form part of. So it's a non-cash expenses. One of the student mentioned that sir, non-cash expenses will not come in cost sheet. So my dear, depreciation is a non-cash expenses and it will form part of cost sheet. So depreciation will form part, but any sort of assets or liabilities In short, whatever the figures that are appearing in the balance sheet, be it goodwill, be it patent, be it copyright, be it know-how, whatever it is, it will never form part of cost sheet. Acha, let's say it is given that asset of rupees 5 lakh assets of rupees 5 lakh was sold for 4,50,000. So there is a loss on sale of assets, or there is a loss on sale of investments also. So any sort of profit or loss on sale of assets or investment will never form part of cost sheet. Any sort of provisions or transfer to reserves will never form part of cost sheet. Income tax will never form. Income tax or advance tax. Now, few students mentioned about demurrage. See, Aisha, demurrage is like the penalty laid by the, I think, port authorities once you delay in releasing the shipment. I mean, so this is a fine, or this is just like a penalty or a fine levied by the port authorities. Now, few students mentioned that, sir, GST will not form part of cost sheet. So when talking about GST part, I have already discussed that if we are getting the GST credit back, we are paying GST, we are getting the GST credit back, better ignore the GST. But if we are not getting the credit back of GST, then GST will be added in the purchase price. We can say purchase or sale of assets also. Cash discount given on purchases again will have to be ignored. No, Virendra Sharma, interest cost will never form part of cost sheet. No, donation will not form part of cost sheet. Anyone else with any other new points, waiting for your points? Storage cost will form part of cost sheet. So we are paying the rent for storing the material. So rent of factory will form part of cost sheet. Anyone with any new points? I've covered most of the points. Still, if you have any idea, interest on debts, interest received or interest paid by whatever name called will never form part of cost sheet. Maintenance of machinery. Maintenance of machinery will form part of factory overheads. Mr. Bhaskar Das. Loans, I have already considered that whatever the assets and liabilities are, it will never form. So loan is a liability, so it will not form part of cost sheet. I think there is some correction that need to be done, Virendra Sharma. So from my side, yes, interest cost by whatever name called will never form part of cost sheet. Very good. Goodwill written off, it's a big concept, so don't want to cover in this class. So goodwill written off, it will, or preliminary expenses written off. Very good, Gurdeep. Or it will not form part of cost sheet. Still, if you guys want to know that, okay, if any point is coming in your mind, sir, where it will go, it will come or not, you guys can post. Like I think Bhuvneshwari posted that, sir, advertisement cost or marketing cost. So whatever the doubts you have in your mind, you guys can post. I'll address each and every query of yours. So advertisement and marketing cost, it will go in selling and distribution. So let me check. There are a few. So share capital, it's a liability. It's shown in the liability side of the balance sheet, so it will not form part of cost sheet. Damages payable by law. So when talking about damages, it's an abnormal loss. Abnormal loss, so it will not form part of cost sheet. So subsidies, yes, subsidies or grant received from government. Again, subsidy on purchase we have deducted, but any sort of general subsidies or grant will never form part of cost sheet. Incentive, if we are paying incentive to the workers, it will form part of cost sheet under the head direct labor. Bhavna Garg, okay, Nitin Prajapati, hopefully your incentive part is over. Clear? Incentive, if we are paying to the staff, be it our sales staff, be it our manufacturing staff, be it our office staff, everything will be included in the cost. It will form part of cost sheet. Depreciation, yes, very important, Bhavna. See, assets and liability will not form part of cost sheet, but yes, depreciation on factory building, depreciation on plant and machinery, or anything, depreciation, whatever of the items that there are in factory will form part of factory overhead. Now let's say depreciation of office building, depreciation of office furniture, depreciation of office equipment, it will go in office and administration overhead. And further, let's say depreciation on delivery vehicles, depreciation on sales office building, it will go in selling and distribution. So depreciation will form part of cost sheet, even though it's a non-cash expense, but yes, it will form part of cost sheet. Revaluation of assets, since assets are not appearing, so revaluation of assets have no treatment in cost accounting. Yes, Nitish, share issue expense is we can call it as miscellaneous or preliminary expenses. It will never form part of cost sheet. See, Ritika, these items has nothing to do with cost calculation. See, when talking about bad debts is an abnormal loss. So cost sheet is all what about estimated data. So how can we estimate bad debts? Bad debts is practically not possible. It has nothing to do with cost calculation. So that's why it will not come. Interest and finance cost being, it's a financial nature transaction. It has nothing to do with cost calculation. So it will also not form part of cost sheet. And rest all, it's just like, income tax, it's a tax on income. And income will be generated when the actual results are out. So it has nothing to do with the estimated cost. Demurrage is a kind of penalty or fine levied by the port authority if you delay in releasing the shipment. Drawings, again, as I said, all the assets and liabilities will never form part of cost sheet. So drawings is what? The drawings of capital amount. So again, it will not form part of cost sheet. Bonus paid to employees, yes, it will form part of cost sheet. It will be either in the form of wages, that is, if we are paying it to the workers, then it will form part of prime cost. If we are paying it to the office staff, it will go in general administration overhead. If we are paying it to the sales staff, it will go in selling and distribution cost. Cash discount, Rachna, actually, you know what? Again, it's a bit lengthy concept. See, cash discount क्यों मिलता है, Rachna? You tell me. Suppose, let's say the normal terms of business are like you have to make the payment in 1 month. But let's say supplier is giving me an option that, sir, if you make payment immediately, I'll give you 1% discount. So it means here we are making the cash payment and we are getting a discount, but we won't be able to enjoy these funds for 1 month because supplier in general allows us 1 month credit, but we are not availing this credit. So ultimately here we are getting a discount, but here we are losing the opportunity cost in the form of interest. So in short, it's just like a compensation in the form of interest. So that's why the cash discount will not be deducted from the purchase price. Perquisites, what are perquisites? The benefits. The benefit is that are provided by employer to employee. Let's say medical facility, travel facility, education facility, food facility, let's say car facility, loan facility, gas, electricity, and water facility. So these are the facilities that are provided by the company to its employee. So it will form part of cost sheet. This is out of syllabus. Bhavna Garg, it is out of syllabus question, interim dividend and proposed dividend. But since you are asking, I'm just explaining. Proposed dividend is the dividend that is proposed at the end of the year. And when talking about interim dividend is proposed and paid during the year. So interim dividend, it is proposed during the year and paid during the year. Proposed means adjusted from P&L during the year and paid in cash, paid to the shareholders during the year itself. But in general, when talking about the proposed dividend, it is adjusted during the current year, but it is paid next year. So it's a final dividend, and interim dividend is paid at the mid of the year. It has nothing to do with cost sheet. Interest paid on bank overdraft. Again, nothing to do with cost calculation. You will not get this term, Ranjit Raju, prepaid expenses, outstanding expenses. That it has nothing to do with. You will get expenses only. Don't worry. Any questions, anyone? Yes, it will form, Sanya. Anyone else with any doubts? Whatever the question, sir, ye aayega ke nahi aayega? Is it going to appear in cost sheet or not? Or where it will go? So if you have any queries or doubts, you guys can please post. In the meanwhile, I request you guys to copy these points, and whatever the queries you have, you guys can please post. So giving you 2 to 3 minutes time to post the queries. In the meanwhile, I request you guys to copy this explanation also. Whatever that is running in your mind, do post. I'll address all your queries, guys. Pooja, Bhumika Agrawal, Akshara, Rinku Chaudhary, Hardik, Shatakshi, Saundarya, Niveta, Santras, Ritik Gupta, Yashleen Kaur. Whatever the queries you have, you guys can please post. I'll be discussing in this in activity-based costing only, Mr. Chaudhary. In the meanwhile, I request you guys to please open your study material. No, whether the cost sheet is all what this costing is only all what about estimated data. Be it any chapter, be it material, be it labor, be it overheads, everything is all what about estimated data. The actual expense we record in financial accounts, and the estimated expenses what we record in cost accounts. So each and every chapter what we will be discussing will be all what about estimated data when talking about the calculation of cost. Anyone else with any doubts or queries, guys? So I request you guys to please open your study material. I'm discussing illustration number 1, page number 6.10. So Apurva, now I'm starting with the practical question for better understanding, my dear. So let's start with illustration number 1. The following data relates to the manufacture of a standard product during the month of April, wherein raw material is given directly, direct wages, machine hours worked, machine hour rate, administration overheads, selling overheads per unit, units produced, units sold, and selling price per unit. You are required to prepare a cost sheet in respect of the above, showing cost per unit and the profit for the month. So we have to prepare cost sheet and we have to calculate the profit for the month. So let's start. Units manufactured are how much? 4,000. So here in the question is asking us to calculate the unit cost also. So we have to prepare separate column for total and per unit. Now herein no information is given as regards opening stock, closing stock, and purchase of raw material. Directly raw material is given. $1,80,000. So divided by 4,000 units. So it comes 45. Next is direct wages, 90,000. This will be 22.5. Now, no information is given in the question as regards the direct expenses. So this much only will be my prime cost. Now, when talking about the factory overheads, it is given that the machine hours worked are 10,000 and the machine hour rate, that is absorption rate of overheads, is 8. So 10,000 into 8, 80,000 are my factory overheads. Herein the absorption rate is given and the machine hours are given. So accordingly, I have calculated the factory overhead 80,000 divided by 4,000. That is 20 rupees is what? So this is 87.5 and this is 3,50,000. Now, as such, it should be gross factory cost or work cost. But we have to make adjustments of opening and closing work in progress to get factory cost or work cost. But opening and closing work in progress are not given. Further, after calculating the factory cost or work cost, we have to make adjustments of 5 items. First one, quality control, research and development, admin overhead related to production, primary packing cost, and less scrap value realized on sale of byproduct. But in this question, nothing is given regarding all these points. So ultimately, this value calculated is what? My cost of production. So we can say it is the gross factory cost also, factory cost also, cost of production also. So ultimately, no information is given as regards many points. So directly, this figure 3,50,000 is what my cost of production. In cost of production, we make adjustments of opening and closing stock of finished goods. Now see herein, opening stock is not given. But closing stock, yes, it is there. That is 4,000 units are manufactured. Out of 4,000 units, 3,600 units are sold. It means 400 units are still in stock. Out of 4,000 units, so 400 units are still in stock. We can say closing stock of finished goods. How much? 400. And as I said, that finished stock is valued at cost of production, and the cost of production per unit is 87.5. So what will be the value? 35,000. So add opening stock is not there, but less closing stock of finished goods, that is 35,000. So the remaining amount 3,15,000 is for what? How many units? This is for 3,600 units. So 3,15,000 divided by 36, because 400 units are already gone. We have already adjusted for the closing stock of finished goods. So we are left out with only 3,600 units. So 3,15,000 divided by 3,600, again 87.5. So we have got the cost of goods sold. In this, we will add all the administration overhead and selling and distribution overhead. Administration overheads are given, that is 35,000. Selling and distribution overheads are given, that is rupees 5 per unit. So 3,600 into 5. From here and onwards, 3,600 units will come into picture, because we have removed the effect of 400 units. Out of 4,000 units, we have already subtracted 400 units. So this will be 18,000, and 35,000 divided by 3,600. This will be 9.72. So all the figures are considered. This is how we will get the cost of sales. We can calculate this. We can prepare the statement of profit also here. Wherein the sales is given, that is 3,600 units are sold at the rate 125. So 3,600 units are sold at the rate 125. So this will be 4,50,000. And my cost of sales for 3,600 unit is 3,68,000. So the final profit will be this will be 82. So this is the way you have to present the solution. If you guys have any doubts or queries in this part, you guys can please post. Waiting for your queries now. So Nitish, right from start, raw material 1,80,000 for 4,000 units. So 1,80,000 divided by 4,000, 45. Direct wages are 90,000. So 90,000 divided by 4,000, 22.5. So material plus wages is my prime cost. That is 2,70,000 plus 67.5. In the prime cost, we will add all the factory overheads. So factory overheads here in the absorption rate is given, that is they are absorbed at the rate 8 rupees per hour, and the total number of hours are 10,000. So 10,000 into 8, 80,000. Now 80,000 divided by 4,000, 20. Now no information is given in the question as regards work in progress, quality control cost, research and development, administration overhead related to production, and primary packing and sale of scrap. So this figure, the 3,15,000 is directly my cost of, 3,50,000 is directly my cost of production. Now, out of 4,000 units manufactured, 3,600 units are only sold. So 400 units are still in stock. And as I said that the finished stock are valued at cost of production. So my cost of production is 87.5. So 400 into 87.5, 35,000. So from 3,50,000, if we deduct 35,000, we will get cost of goods sold 3,15,000. So this 3,15,000 is for 3,600 units. From now and onwards, 3,600 units will come into picture. So in this, if we add administration overhead and selling and distribution overhead, we will get cost of sales, that is 3,68,000. So when talking about the statement of profit, sales minus cost of sales, we will get the final profit. See, till here we were talking only about 4,000 units. But we have subtracted the closing stock of 400 units. So from now and onward, 3,600 units will come into picture. That's why. This is just for your understanding. I have written from now and onward. See, the total, this 3,50,000 cost belongs to 4,000 units. Out of 4,000 units, we have already subtracted 400 units. So now and onwards, only 3,600 units will come into picture. Virendra Sharma, any doubts? Sanya, actually, I think you have not understood overheads. So you can refer the session of overheads, then only you will be able to understand that what is the absorption rate, why I have multiplied it by my machine hours. So see, I have taken a session on overheads in my revisionary class. So you can refer, it's like I have finished it almost 4-5 days back only. So you can refer my revisionary session, revisionary batch classes on overheads. You will be able to understand that what is this absorption rate, why I have taken this absorption rate. So this is not a part of your solution. I'm just writing it for your reference only. That's it. This much is the solution only. It's already 9:30, guys. If you guys have any doubts relating to the concepts, what I have taught you today, you guys can please post your query. Whatever the queries you have, don't feel like that I'm asking the same question again and again. You can ask a single question more than 2-3 times. That's okay. I'll explain it every time. By the end of this session, I just want that everyone should be, each and every student of mine should be thorough with the concepts. So whatever the queries you have, I can extend it for 5-10 minutes and I'll address each and every query of yours. Don't worry. So waiting for your queries, guys. Sanya, you can refer my previous session on overheads. You will be able to understand that why I'm doing so. 9.72 कैसे आया? So, as I said, 35,000 is the cost. From here and onwards, 3,600 units comes into picture. So 35,000 divided by 3,600, we will get 9.7. Thank you so much, Pranav. Yes, cost in general. In general, I used to finish cost sheet in one session only, but since 2 sessions are allocated, that's why I have explained the concept in more detail. So don't worry, I'll be finishing. I'll be discussing 4 to 5 more practical questions on cost sheet. Don't worry. Thank you so much, Sukhveer. Thank you so much, Sudeep. Thank you so much, Kasak. So as such, in cost sheet, we have to prepare the cost sheet. The cost statement I have already discussed. There are certain items which are not to be considered while preparing cost sheet, Santosh. So you can refer. I hope you have written all the things in your notebook. Again, I repeat, whatever the concepts I'm teaching, try to copy it down in your notebook. Yes, practical questions, somehow, somewhere you can take a screenshot. But yes, the concept part, I want every one of you guys to write in your notebook. And along with what I have written it over the board, do try to write your comments also, that what I have understood, what were the mistakes I did, and thereafter sir corrected the same. So then only you'll be able to understand that okay, मुझसे ये mistake हुआ और sir ने ऐसे correct किया. So try to write your comments along with the concepts. Yes, Nitish. Will surely try to, Hardik. Don't worry. I know it's a good question. So done, guys. Ritika Gupta, okay, I request you to please check the recorded lecture of this course sheet once again. Still, if you find any sort of difficulty, there is one more session on cost sheet. I'll try to cover everything in detail. So thank you so much, guys, for your time and patience and for active participation in the session. I request you guys to revise what I have discussed in today's class. See you guys day after tomorrow with the remaining part of the cost sheet. As such, the concepts are over. I'll be discussing only the practical questions. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day. Admin, sir, done. You too, sir. Thank you.